After weeks of negative market movement, this week is a breath of fresh air for both sellers and buyers. I'm Tony with Clarkson Santoro, and this is your real estate update for the week of Friday, August 16th. We know that selling or buying a home can be very stressful and confusing. That's why we do these weekly videos, so you can know how the market is impacting your options as a home buyer or seller. Let's start off by looking at how the market did this week. There are 5 less homes on the market this week, down from 55 to 50. The average asking price of those homes is up from $1,967,000 last week to $2,013,000 this week. 10 homes went pending this week, 2 more than last week. And the average asking price of those pending homes jumped up significantly from $1,647,000 last week to $1,793,000 this week. And twice as many homes sold this week as opposed to last week, but the average asking or selling price did drop. It was $1,868,000 this week, which is significantly less than the average sales price of the 5 homes last week at $2,273,000. So now we know how the market performed this week, and next we can look at how the predictive market indicators that help us understand where the market might be heading. Before we look at those, if you do find this information helpful, why don't you hit the subscribe button down below, and why don't you share it with a friend also. Everyone deserves to be in the know about their local real estate market. Okay, let's look at those indicators. Inventory came back down this week, like I said previously, after several weeks in the mid-50s. It's still at 50 homes, but the reduction means that our turnover rate should come back up. This is also the first week this year that we have 0 listings marked as coming soon, meaning the inventory is not likely to come back anytime soon. The one thing to pay attention to is that 40% of all homes on the market right now have been on for more than 30 days, and that has pushed the average days on market over 30 for the first time since January of this year. With inventory coming down, it's no surprise to see that the turnover rate has started to come up, even if it is coming up rather slowly. It's now at 72% of what we would call a normal or neutral market. That turnover rate is still favorable to buyers, meaning that they have more time to think about each house and not feel rushed to make an offer. And they have a greater chance of getting the house for asking or less, depending, of course, on that house. There are always caveats and changes to those rules. Oops. The over-under number has continued to perform well also. Here we are, pretty flat for the past several weeks. Despite the inventory being up and turnover being down, we are still seeing homes close at about 1.7% over their list price on average. The caveat to that statistic is that is being buoyed by a few homes that are marketed low to get offers quickly and try and get over asking prices. This approach still seems to be working for some homes in this market, but it's a little more risky when there is more inventory to be competing with. We're also seeing more homes go through price reductions and sell for less than asking, so the average is a little deceptive. The reality is that it is more important for sellers right now to do the extra work to prepare their home for the buyers in a market like this to have significant success. The average sales price continues to remain above the $2 million mark as well. That is more than 8% higher than the same time last year, when homes were averaging about $1,925,000. This further reinforces the fact that despite a slower market and soft economy, our area is extremely desirable and will hold value even in the face of larger national concerns around the economy. Speaking of those concerns, the QQQ had a significant rebound this week after several weeks in a row of decreasing values. Here we are on a nice rebound. It's up more than 8% from last week after dropping by about 11% from its peak at the beginning of last month. This is good for both buyers and sellers in our San Ramon real estate market. It gives a large section of our buyer pool more money for their down payment, making it easier for them to afford houses in our market. And for sellers, it means that the buyer pool for their homes should be expanding. Another thing that's expanding the buyer pool is the interest rates. And that's probably the most exciting news for both buyers and sellers this week. Rates have been sitting above 6.5% since May of last year, almost a full year and a half. Interest rates are now at 6.49, with the Fed talking about doing a serious rate cut next month as the inflation numbers are coming down. Like I said, I think this is good news for both sellers and buyers alike. Obviously, for buyers, this means that their loan will cost them less money, making them able to afford more house. For sellers, the reason this is good news is that it all allows home shoppers who were previously held back by interest rates to now be able to afford their home, essentially expanding the seller's buyer pool specific to their house. After several weeks of concerning market movement, eroding buyers' funds, and putting downward pressure on home values, it's nice to see things bounce back. This week provided good stability to the market without pushing too far in either direction. Rates and stocks moving in the positive direction means a buyer who has been waiting can start to be really serious about looking for a home, knowing they can afford a little more, and with hope that rates will continue to drop as they get into contract and start working to secure financing. Meanwhile, the lack of inventory increase, means that the homeowners aren't going to have to make significant concessions in value as long as they approach the sale of their home with a realistic current market value in mind, not trying to hold on to the values we could have expected 2 months ago at the peak of the spring market. Thank you for joining me on this weekly update. I hope it helps you understand how our market is affecting your options. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and ring the notification bell so you can stay informed on how the market is shaping up this summer. And if you have any questions specific to how you can navigate the stressful and sometimes confusing process of selling and especially buying, reach out to us directly or leave a comment down below. We're happy to help guide you every step of the way. Thanks for joining me. Have a safe weekend, and I'll see you next week with a new update.